I'm Casey Joy de los Santos, and for today's topic, I will be going to discuss the Module 3 Context and Perspective Lesson 4 Analyzing Symbols and Iconographic Analysis. So, how do we define symbols? To be called a symbol, an item must suggest a meaning different in kind from its literal meaning. So a symbol is something more than its class or type. So a symbol have more than one meaning. Now let's proceed to iconography. So what is iconography? So iconography was developed by art historian Erwin Panofsky. So who is Erwin Panofsky? Who is Erwin Panofsky? Panofsky began his studies with the statement, iconography is that branch of the history of art which concern itself with the subject matter or meaning of works of art as opposed to their form. So, an iconography is a particular range or system of types of image used by an artist to convey particular meanings. So, for example, in Christian religious painting, there is an iconography of images such as the lamb, which represent Christ, or the dove, which represents the Holy Spirit. Now let's proceed to semiotics. So semiotics is the study of signs. So in semiotics, the basic unit is the sign. So signs are representations that have meaning beyond what they literally represent. Signs can come in visual or auditory form, as in language or sounds. So signs are everywhere, not just an art, of course. Semiotics offers a way to break an image into its constituent parts, its signs, so and trace how they relate to each other and other system of meanings. So semiotics, put simply, is the study of how an idea or object communicates meaning and what meaning it communicates. So for example, coffee. It is a brewed beverages, but it also evokes comfort, alertness, creativity, and countless and other associations. So common examples of semiotics include the traffic signs, the emojis, and emoticons used in our gadgets, and logos and brands used by international corporations to sell us things such as brand loyalty, as they call it. Now, the signified and signifier. So, the signs in an image are analyzed in two parts, which are the signified and signifier. So, the signified is a concept or thing the representation stands in for, and the signifier is the representation. Signifier is a form of a sign. The form might be a sound, a word, a photograph, or a facial expression, while the signified is a concept or object that's represented. So the concept or object might be an actual pipe, the command to stop, or a warning of radioactivity. So remember that words as well as pictures are signs. The word pipe is a sign for an actual pipe, as much as Margaret's painting is a sign for an actual pipe. So the signified is the same in both cases. That of a real pipe that can be filled with tobacco, which you can light and smoke. What's difference in the two signs is the signifier. In Margaret's case, the signifier is a painting with the word pipe. The signifier is the word itself. So both are represented of an actual pipe. Then the next one is the icon, index, and symbol. So icons bear a very close visual relationship to the thing they represent. So an icon of a woman might be a photograph of an actual woman. So an indexal signs points to the thing it represents or bear some relationship to the thing it represents, but in one step removed. So a symbol is arbitrary and bears no relation to the thing it represents. So there are three types of signifiers. So the categories of signs. So Peirce said the form a sign takes its signifier. So it can be classified as one of three types: the icon, the index, or a symbol. An icon has a physical resemblance to the signified. So the thing being represented, so a photograph is a good example as it certainly resembles whatever it depicts. So an index shows evidence of what being represented. So a good example is using an image of smoke to indicate fire. The last one is the denotative and connotative meaning. So signs can also have denotative or literal meaning and connotative meanings that are in addition to their literal meaning. So signs exist in relationship to other signs. So signs also connect to wider system of meaning that are conventionalized meaning shared by particular group of people or cultures. So this is referred to as codes because signs can often be polysemic or have multiple meanings. Unpacking their meanings fully can be very complex. So denotation is the literal description of the signifier. So while the connotation focuses on the underlying message or feelings contained in the image, it is called the signified. So the connotation represents different social, culture, or emotional implications. So the denotation represents the explicit or referential signifier of a sign. Both are part of the same icon, and one does not usually exist without the other, since visual language operates as a reflection of our thinking and our individual and collective emotions. Take in mind that connotation cannot be used in messages or images that have an official character or that have formal requirements. This could lead to a serious confusion with respect to the information that is to be transmitted. So denotation is certainly more descriptive than connotation, which is more suggestive. So in this sense, connotative messages are often more interesting and creative because they are full of meaning and appeal to the empathy and interpretation of the receiver. So they can be persuasive and even seductive. So the following are the steps in conducting a basic semiotic analysis. So the first one is decide what the signs are. The second one is decide what they signify in themselves. The third one is consider how they relate to other signs. And the last one is explore their connection to wider systems of meaning from codes to ideologies. Let's proceed to iconographic analysis. Early religious art. Iconography refers to the paintings, mosaics, and frescoes created in the Byzantine and Orthodox Christian tradition. The word itself literally means image writing in Greek. So icons typically show religious figures in a strict form with fixed patterns. Everything in the portrait is symbolic. So modern viewers notice the exact craftsmanship while contemporary. So Christianity in its infancy was a religion by the lower classes of society. As such, its art was not prolific and it was likely unfunded. So the number of Christians was small and there may have been an adherence to the strict Old Testament forbiddance of graven images. When they did produce art, it might have been purchased pagan art that they altered to have Christian symbolism and meaning. So the original art that they created during this art movement period used the same media as those of the secular and pagan artists of the cultures in which they live, including the frescoes, mosaics, and sculpture in Romantic classical styles. So changing the meanings of Roman motifs and pagan symbolism, such as grapevines, peacocks, and shepherds. They also introduced their own symbol as the fish. History of the movement. So, in the late 6th century, paintings of Christ, Mary, and the saints became objects of veneration. They were considered actual portraits of the saints, supposedly based on paintings done by Saint Paul after a visitation by God. So later works based on the original true works with variations strongly discourage viewers love the religious significance they place on the images. Now the last one is the Orthodox icon. After the edict, another 500 years elapsed before the tradition of icons revived in the East. So by 1300, iconic art was flourishing again. Because of their formulaic presentation, most icons share similar characteristics. Many Orthodox have an icon corner in their home around which a devout family would gather for prayer. So some icon corners also have oil lamps and prayer books, palm crosses or flowers from the fascial season, and maybe some blessed water from Theophany. So Orthodox Christians honor icons but don't worship them. So the Orthodox Church differs substantially from the other churches in the way of life and worship, and in certain aspects of theology. So the Holy Spirit is seen as present in and as the guide to the church working through the whole body of the church as well as through priests and bishops. That's all for today. Thank you.